Good morning, Pennsylvania FFA. My name is Mrs. Fay, and I am the Penn State TEAG SAE Specialist, and I'm brought to you by the Commission for Agricultural Education Excellence, the Penn State Center for Professional and Personnel Development, and the Pennsylvania Association of Agricultural Educators. Today we're going to talk about how to set up your SAE plan. So the first thing that we're going to make the assumption is that you know how to log into your AET account. And you also have gone into record your school ag class schedule, because those dates of your school ag classes are very important, because the first date of your first class determines when you can, after the first day of your first class is when you can record your financial entries and your journal entries. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go to the Project and Experience Manager, and I've already set up a rabbit production Californian project. Californian is a breed of rabbits, and so the rabbit production, the name rabbit production assumes that I'm going to be breeding rabbits. You can see that I have a Market Hog 2018 project, Market Hogs 2019, and a replacement rabbit project. So today I have those projects turned off. You can see if I wanted to work in those projects, I could turn them back on, but for today, I am making them inactive so they are out of the way. Something else you might notice is in the planning section in AET, we see our SAE plan and we have a budget. So the plan is designated by a pencil icon and the budget is designated by a $ icon. So you can see that I have some green green check marks and red X's next to these SAE plan pencils. So the red X means that my plan is incomplete. So if we click on this plan, you can see, this text box is empty and this plan is not complete. So what I'm going to do is at some point, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to copy and paste this text box, or rather this template into this text box, and I'll be able to fill that in. Something that I want to show you that I hadn't seen before is I can copy a plan from another SAE project. So this is my 2018 Market Hog project, which actually would be kind of backwards, but I could copy the plan from my 2019 Market Hog project into this plan if I just hit copy. I'm not going to do that, but that's something that a lot of people don't know about, and it's kind of handy. So we're going to go back to our Experience Manager right now. And again, we're going to focus on our rabbit production project, and we're going to click on the pencil. So when I click on the pencil for this rabbit production entrepreneurship project, you can see there are 4 tabs: description, time investment, financial investment, and learning objectives or skills. And I have some of this already filled in. So I'm going to go through it kind of quickly because it'll save time for me to type. But you can always refer back to this and get some ideas of what you might want to add into your SAE plan. So what I did to start is I highlighted and copied. AET gives you a really nice template of what should be in each of these tabs. So when you highlight this template, you can copy it and you can paste it down below, and you can kind of see that's what I did. And then I took those ideas that AET gave me and I developed my own description. So my description is, I plan to start my project on September 1st, 2018. It's very important that you have a complete description of your project, when you're planning to start and what you're planning to do. Because down the road in a couple of years, when you go to apply for awards and degrees, you may submit this SAE plan with your application. And if anybody has a question about your plan or about your project, they can refer to this and get a nice idea of what you intended to do for the project. So in 2018, and I'm going to add something right here. I'm going to add 2018. So in 2018, I plan to start my project on September 1st. I'm going to buy 2 Californian does and 1 buck from my neighbor who raises meat rabbits. They are 6 months old and will soon be ready to breed. So already, you know by reading this that I plan to start my project, how I'm going to get my rabbits. Now, if I already had rabbits prior to my first day in ag, I would say I already own 2 Californian does and 1 buck from a previous project, and this is where this is the status of my project currently. I plan to breed them at least 4 times a year. Now, knowing that I'm just starting this project, maybe 4 times a year is a good amount of time, is a good number of times to breed rabbits. Maybe I could breed them 6 times a year. I don't know. It's something I'm going to learn, but at this point, that's what my basic plan is. I plan to raise the kits, baby bunnies, correct term right there, to 5 pounds and butcher with my neighbor. He sells rabbit meat at a market in the city, and there is a high demand for rabbit meat because it is low in fat. So you can already see I've done a little bit of research on rabbits and rabbit meat, and I know that. So my goals are, I also plan to show some of my rabbits for the experience and to learn more about the rabbit industry. I'm going to look into joining rabbit clubs so that I can learn more about rabbits. I'm also going to take small animal science class and other animal classes at my school. I am going to learn common rabbit disease signs so that I can prevent the disease spread to the others in my herd. My neighbor Jeff will help me with the project. My parents will be helping me too. They are going to provide the startup money, then I will pay them back. So that kind of gives a little bit of an overview about the financials of this project. Project safety considerations are safe and secure cages for my rabbits, wearing long sleeve shirts when handling the rabbits because rabbits scratch, being careful of stressing the rabbits when I handle them so they don't bite me. I am working on designing and building my own cages, and Jeff and my parents are helping me with that. And I need to correct my typo. Okay, so you can see my SAE description. So now let's fast forward in our mind to the next year. So I'm going to type 2019, and now I can say last year I started with whatever rabbits. This year last year my project ended with 20 rabbits, and this year I plan to expand my herd to more does, more bucks, more bunnies. Maybe I'm going to get another breed. So as this project is ongoing, I can add to this description from year to year. So the next tab that I'm going to go to is the time investment tab. And when I click on this tab, this text box saves automatically, and you'll be able to see a little save icon right there. So when I click on the time investment tab, did you see it? It was right there. So in the time investment tab, again, here's a template that you can copy and paste down below in this text box. So the template says, I will spend however many weeks in whatever activities. My project varies from month to month, but common activities are this. Key dates or events in my project include this and this, and my project relates to my career plan, which is to whatever. Since this is a new project, I will be spending a lot of time this year while I am learning about rabbits. I assume that I will spend an average of 30 minutes each day feeding, watering, cleaning their pens, and researching rabbit production. And I probably should add that some of this time will be spent with my neighbor Jeff, learning about rabbit production from him. I plan to breed the does at least 70 days before the shows so that I can have the rabbits be the correct weight and size for meat pen classes. I also need to breed prior to high demand times of the year so that I can take advantage of the markets. My career plan is to be a food safety inspector. So raising my own rabbits for food will help me to prepare for that. And again, since I'm starting this project in 2018, That's my plan. So then in 2019, I can come back and update this for the following year, because next year, hopefully, I will have maybe figured out how I can streamline my work, and maybe I don't need to spend 30 minutes every day. Maybe I only need to spend 15 minutes every day, and then one day a week, spend a couple of hours cleaning their pans and breeding and weaning and doing those kind of things with the bunnies. So I can update my time investment next year. So again, to save this, I can just click on the financial investment tab, and again, you'll see this little save icon pop up. So financial investment, there we go. So the financial investment tab is very important as well, because when you are working with an entrepreneurship project, you are going to have expenses, income, and non-current considerations. So expenses are day-to-day expenses like feed. Maybe if you're going to a show, it would be your show expense. If you're selling rabbits at an auction, it would be commission. It might be supplies. If you need to buy, like I feed my rabbits sunflower seeds to give them a little extra fat in the winter. So those are the day-to-day short-term things that you're going to use up. So the income is any time that money is paid to you. And it might be the sale of rabbits. It might be the sale of bunnies. It might be the sale of manure, because rabbit manure makes really good compost. So non-current items are items that you're generally going to own more than a year. So for example, it would be cages. It would be your breeding rabbits, your bucks and your does. It would be any equipment. I have a table for my rabbits so that I can pull them out of the cages, put them on the table, and I can handle them and kind of look them over using that table. It's a little higher than a normal table. So you may and again, if you're going to show, you may have some other show equipment. You would have feeders, you would have water bottles. Those are non-current items. As we complete this template, then you can highlight and copy this template below. So we have planned project expenses. The funds I need to invest in my project are from, and you can see what I have entered down here. Funds that I need to invest in my project are from a previous job, and you could have birthday money, you can have gift money, whatever, but you can say where those funds are from. Main cash expenses I'm going to have are feed. It could be feed, it could be treats, it could be shavings if you're using any kind of bedding. So those are main cash expenses. Potentially several non-cash descriptions, or you can remove it if it does not apply. So if my neighbor Jeff was going to ask me if I was going to work for my neighbor Jeff, and in turn he was going to sell me feed, if he happens to buy feed in bulk because he has a lot of rabbits, maybe I could work for him in exchange for the feed. So that would be a non-cash labor exchange, and we can look at that when we talk about finances. So some other non-cash expenses could be gifts. Maybe somebody gives you a cage, or somebody gives you some other equipment that you would use for your rabbits. In terms of total cost, my project will annually require how much a year to operate. And that is planning ahead. That is where you can know that you have 2 does and a buck, and you're anticipating having 4 litters a year. You will need to know for your breed about how many bunnies might be in a litter, and then kind of anticipate how much you might be able to sell them for. And because I have a neighbor, Jeff, who's going to buy my bunnies, we can try to set up maybe a price ahead of time, and he can tell me how much he might be able to buy my bunnies for, knowing that it's based on supply and demand. So some planned project income, and again, here is planned income for my bunnies, and we can, we've already talked about that a little bit. And I plan to use assets that I own or plan to purchase. So assets are anything that you have that has value. So again, if you already own a couple cages, you could list those here and the size of those cages. Maybe you have different styles of cages, so you might list them independently. And you may already own some feeders or some water bottles. And I plan to use assets that someone else owns but allows me to use them in my project. So if my neighbor Jeff has some cages that he doesn't use anymore, but he's going to let me borrow them, that would be something that I would list here. Or in the case like I have a hog project, in my hog project, if my cousin already owned clippers and a whip and things to raise hogs with, you would list that in that hog project, but that's an example of things that you might borrow. Okay, so the next area that we need to look at is our learning objectives or skills. So I have some of those filled in already, and I'll show you how to get those. So what you're going to want to do, and in all of these tabs, there are just descriptions and directions of how to do this, but I'll show you. So we have the add or explore skill area. So in our setup, when we set up our project, we chose animal systems. So we're going to click on animal systems and scroll down, and we can read each of these skill areas and find 3 that apply to our current project. So the first one I chose is demonstrate management techniques that ensure animal welfare. And if you're not sure what that means, you can hover over that green question mark and get some ideas for activities of how to meet that skill. The next one I picked is analyze the nutritional needs of animals, because my adult rabbits are going to need a different type of feed, different level, different amount of feed than bunnies. So we're going to have to analyze the needs of our rabbits. And the next one I picked is design animal housing, equipment, and handling facilities for the major systems of rabbit production. So again, I know I'm also going to need, and I forgot about this, I'm going to need rabbit boxes. I'm going to need boxes for them to have their bunnies. So I'll have to buy a few of those, and maybe I'll build them. Maybe I can save some money. We have some plywood. Maybe I can save some money and build those. So that's going to be the design of handling facilities for my rabbits. So I chose those 3, and they turned red when I chose them. And now we can go save and back to the SAE plan. So we always like to work in 3s. So I'm going to have 3 planned activities for each of these skills. And if you hover over the green question mark here, or if we hover over the skill, you can get some information there. So the first one might be, is if I'm going to buy any rabbits in, and I'm already going to do that, I'm going to quarantine rabbits for at least 1 week for health observation. It's a good idea, and you'll learn this in your animal science classes if you haven't yet. Whenever you bring new animals into your herd or into an area, when you put any animal together that have never been together before, they may be bringing organisms or diseases or whatever with them. So you want to quarantine them separately so you can observe them and see if they have any health issues. So then number 2, maybe demonstrate management techniques. We want to trim their toenails. So we want to trim our rabbits' toenails maybe monthly. Okay, and trimming their toenails will keep them from scratching you and from scratching each other. And sometimes their toenails hang down under the wire, and when you pull that pan out, it could take their toenails off, which is very painful. And number 3, check rabbits periodically. We're going to say monthly again for abscesses or other health issues. So when you handle a rabbit, you will learn that you flip it upside down and you can kind of massage its stomach and check its legs and check its toes and see if and its teeth and see if there are any issues. You want to periodically check their ears for mites. And again, you'll learn other things that you'll need to do. So as I clicked out of this, you could see that little save icon popping up, which is really handy. You don't have to find the save button. So I'm going to hop out now and go on to the and go on to the another video because we are out of time. So what I want you to do next is check out how to do the SAE budget. And that'll be in our next video. Have a great day.